Well, hello, everybody. Welcome into the Shelby County High School football pregame show live from three different locations tonight. I'm out here at Herbmont Park as we get geared up for a big county battle between Oak Mountain and Pelham. Just to my left there, you'll see Tyler Rayleigh, who's over just down the road here at Briarwood Christian School. A big rivalry battle there between Briarwood and Homewood tonight. And to his left, just down the road as well, Andrew Simonson out at Spain Park High School for the big crosstown rivalry between Spain Park and Hoover. And yes, you heard that right. 3 games within about 5 miles here on 119 in Valleydale. So if you hadn't left your house yet, you got about an hour till kickoff. You better get in the car now because it's going to be a busy night out here in the 280 area. So, guys, we got a fun one ahead tonight. 11 total games taking place, one of which is already underway. The Thompson Warriors in a top 20 national battle over in the metro Atlanta area taking on Grayson. A 3-0 lead going into the second quarter there for the Thompson Warriors. So a big opportunity there. I won't say that I picked them, but I picked them. So the only one out of our crew that picked them this week. So hoping they can hold on there. But guys, it's going to be a fun night. Tyler, give me your initial thoughts going into a big night here of high school football across Shelby County.
Right. Well, I mean, I think the rivalry games stood out this week. We got a lot of them going. We got some high energy getting ready for this week, too, and some early season magic we might see tonight. I mean, Hoover is looking to bounce back against Spain Park tonight. Briarwood looking to get their first win of the season. Oak Mountain looking to move to 2-0, while Pelham's looking to get their first win. I'm excited for tonight, guys. Should be a fun one. Should see a lot of energy, especially as we get updates from that Thompson game over in Georgia.
Well, Andrew, you're out at our game of the week there between Spain Park and Hoover. What's the atmosphere like there, the early going here? It's about an hour from kickoff, and what's your expectation ahead of another busy night of high school football action?
Well, it feels like it's starting to build a little bit. I got an opportunity to walk past Jag Walk a few minutes ago as it starts to build up and prepare for the players to come through. And it's a really big, really building atmosphere. Some of the Hoover parents and the students are already starting to file in here. Everybody getting in here, getting early to get their seat in here for what should be a really, really entertaining battle. And it's funny that you mentioned that we're all just a few miles apart from each other. But to be quite honest, you really could have picked just about anywhere in Shelby County to be, and you're going to get a really good game tonight. You've got games stacked top to bottom, whether you're in Helena, you're in the North Shelby area here up in 280, down there over in south of Chilton County, down in Huntsville, as Shelby County takes on Huntsville, and even further down 280 as Vincent faces BD Comer. We've got a lot of really good matchups, so let's go ahead and dive in.
Yeah, in the last week before region play, so it's a big one for these teams to get that final tune-up as they head into the games that are going to be the determining factor here the rest of the way on whether or not these teams get into the playoffs. So a big night to fine-tune some things. And we'll start in the AISA, and we're down to 1 game there now. Evangel already had the week off. Coosa Valley gets a forfeit win, and the Rebels are 2-0 on the season. We've seen some struggles in recent years for the Coosa Valley Rebels, and now sitting at 2-0 as they get a forfeit win over Southern Prep. So, guys, our only AISA game tonight, that's Cornerstone Snook, and a pretty easy outlook here in this game. Cornerstone coming off a season-opening 44-14 win last week, and they take on a Snook team coming off a 40-12 loss to open the season. So got to feel good about Cornerstone's chances here. Andrew, I'll start with you and the Cornerstone Chargers as we look to that game.
Yeah, they really showed so many good signs last week. We were talking coming into the season that this was probably the most unknown team going into the year just because of what this team lost. But I had a lot of faith in this team just because of the culture that they had, the youngsters that they had that I've seen grow over the last few years. And my faith was rewarded last week in a really good showing, but maybe not from the guys who I expected. I certainly did not expect Jackson Moore and Malachi Adams to explode out of the backfield. I certainly expected Adams to have a massive night on the defensive end like he did have. And this team showing that it's really good at forcing turnovers and really good on the ground. They've got a really big matchup tonight. As they take on a Snook team that's really been struggling, lost over 20 games in a row, and have won just 3 games since the pandemic. So it really does feel like it's setting itself up for a really good Cornerstone win yet again.
Yeah, Tyler, I assume you agree on that one, but what are your thoughts there for the Cornerstone Chargers?
Well, I think what really stuck out to me last week, guys, was the fact that their running game was just so lethal. I mean, they're already good, but when you talk about 41 carries for 371 yards as a collective unit last week, that's good in any classification that you go to. And against the Snook team, who, yes, has lost 21 games in a row, I mean, it's just going to be more of the same. And Malachi Adams is going to be the force tonight. I mean, I think Cornerstone wins this one easily and puts themselves up into a 2-0 start.
Hey, we're setting it up already. I've joked about it a couple of times early in the season, but Cornerstone wins this one. They get to 2-0. Coosa Valley 2-0. We may have a good county rivalry battle there going on between those two as they look to compete for the AISA 8-man state championship this year. So Cornerstone, good opportunity there tonight. We all three expect them to walk away with a win and improve to 2-0. That takes us into the AHSAA, and we start in Class 2A. We work our way up all the way to the big games taking place in our game of the week out there at Spain Park, Hoover. But we got plenty to talk about, and we're going to start in 2A there with the Vincent Yellow Jackets as they travel to take on BB Comer tonight. And this is going to be a huge game for the Yellow Jackets, looking to bounce back from an 0-1 start last week, 18-8 loss to Winterboro to open the season. And this is a tough matchup. This is a game where these two teams are pretty similar on paper. So, Andrew, I start with you. What's the expectation for Vincent tonight? Do they bounce back with a win?
Expectations is another tough rivalry. You've seen these teams go neck and neck over the last few years, and while Vincent did get the better of the Tigers last year, definitely expect these two teams to really be going at each other tonight in order for both of these teams to get a bounce back win, because kind of like Vincent, BB Comer struggled last week against a tough opponent as well, at the 1A level in Wadley. So both these teams really looking to prove that last game was not an indication of who they were, and to put that behind them as they go forward into region play. It's really interesting for multiple reasons, and I really do think that Vincent holds most of the intrigue in this matchup because while they did struggle in a lot of respects and definitely cannot allow a fast start like they did last week, it does really feel like they're a lot closer to their potential than a lot of people realize, just because a lot of their struggles last week revolved around just a few miscues, namely at the center position, and not finishing off long drives. If this team gets a couple of playmakers to step up and get some game management underneath its belt, I really do expect Vincent to achieve the form that we all expected going into the season.
Yeah, Tyler, you know a pretty good bit about this program too. What are your thoughts as far as what Vincent needs to do tonight to be able to take that step forward from game 1 to game 2 and pick up a win that was a game last year, a 3-point game won by Vincent here in this one, 21-18. So what do you think the Yellow Jackets need to do tonight to be able to pick up a win here?
I mean, it's really just you need to string a couple of offensive drives together. I thought they played decently, and I say that lightly because you lost 18-8 to Winterboro, and they were just very underwhelming, it felt like. And the question is now, can Lane Mims get that going for the Yellow Jackets on offense? Can he and Jaden Roberts create the plays to be able to move the ball, get into the end zone? I mean, I think the one thing that really stuck out to all of us guys last week was their special teams. I mean, when you talk about 2 blocked punts in that game against Winterboro, they just got to execute more of those plays, get lucky, get the ball to bounce their way. I think this Vincent team's talented enough to get there. They just got to string a couple offensive drives together, and I think Lucas Weatherford can get his guys back. I just worry about BB Comer because they have traditionally done well in this series, even when they were poor overall in the season. So I think it's a coin flip. To be honest, guys, yeah. I need Vincent to prove me wrong, but I've got BB Comer winning this game, but very close.
Yeah, I think the big key here, and this is one of those games in our football show earlier in the week. Andrew and I talked about extensively, and that it was a coin flip, like you said, Tyler. It's one that I was the most torn on who to pick, simply because I think it's going to be a really close football game, and these two teams are so similar, just like they were last year at this stage in the season as well. But y'all nailed it. The offense is going to be a key part of this. The Vincent defense we've seen success from pretty consistently over the last couple of years, but they looked good in week 1. I expect them to play well again tonight. That offense is going to have to find a way to pick up the pace there and make some explosive plays. And that'll happen as they start to get more experience. The question is, will the Yellow Jackets be able to find that tonight as they hit the road to take on BB Comer? Good opportunity for them. They need to get some confidence under their belts before they hit region play coming up after this week. So we'll see if Vincent can go on the road and come back home with a victory. Well, that takes us to the Montevallo Bulldogs, who are off to a 1-0 start. Similar situation to what we just talked about with the Vincent Yellow Jackets. The offense was a little bit behind in week one, a 14-6 win over Tarrant last week. Now they get Sylacauga this week. And, this is a game, again, that right now on paper, I think both of these teams looking for some confidence going into region play. You would look at it and say, okay, Sylacauga's coming off a 44-22 win over Central Coosa, but that's a Central Coosa team that struggled a season ago and is probably going to struggle again this year as well. So a good opportunity for Montevallo here to improve on the offensive side of the football this week. Before we talk about this game and I turn it over to the other two guys, I want to tell you about Montevallo Main Street, proud sponsor of the Bulldogs on this year's Shelby County High School football pregame show. Whether it's Friday night lights or a quiet Saturday stroll, there's always something special happening on Montevallo Main Street. From unique shops and local dining to community traditions and small-town charm, it's the kind of place where neighbors gather and Bulldog pride runs deep. Make downtown part of your routine before the game, after the game, and all year long. And don't forget, coming up in a week from Saturday, a week from tomorrow, Tinglewood Festival right there in Montevallo. Always a lot of fun. One of the best festivals you're going to get to attend. Unique, too. Going to have a lot of great vendors there, some really neat woodworking experiences. So a great opportunity to get out there and explore the city of Montevallo and its beautiful park. Saturday, September 6th at Orr Park. It's Tinglewood Festival. Well, guys, let's start with you, Andrew, here on this game, Montevallo-Sylacauga. We know Montevallo's defense looked good week one, but the offense not quite where it was a year ago in week one. How do they get that offense going tonight to be able to pick up a win at home against Sylacauga?
Well, a lot of it's going to have to rely on the run game because that seems to be the really good foundation that's started out well this year. Caleb Merriweather had a pretty respectful day, 153 yards on 20 carries last week. Playing behind that really veteran offensive line, I think, has been a big strength of theirs. But the pass game definitely needs to step up. They're dealing with the rookie quarterback in Jordan McCary, who doesn't have much experience under his belt. And he's having to learn against some of these teams that from this point on are going to be a little bit more challenging, especially as we get into the Class 5A portion of the schedule as we are tonight. So it's going to be interesting to see how he develops, how pieces around him step up on the pass side, because this team does have a really good foundation with the run game, and I think it can ride it to some measure of success. But as long as they're able to get stops on the defensive end and then also pair that with some improvements in the pass game, I think that's going to be when we see this Montevallo team reach its true level of success.
So is this a game that you see Montevallo making the improvements necessary to be able to win tonight?
I think they'll make improvements, but I don't necessarily see them being able to get the win. I think it'll be a lot similar to last year, where it's kind of like a 20-ish point total game, kind of a grinded out battle between two teams who are really trying to find themselves right before region play starts. But I do think that Sylacauga is going to find a way to get one or two drives past this Montevallo defense and get that victory.
Well, Tyler, before I turn it over to you on this game, throwing out the stat here, last year these two offenses combined for less than 18 points per game for the entire season. Montevallo, 15.8 points per game a year ago. Sylacauga, 17.9 points per game a year ago. So offense was a struggle last year. Last week we saw a little bit of improvement there from Sylacauga. Montevallo, not so much. I think level of competition played a big factor in that for Sylacauga, though. So, Tyler, with the offensive struggles we've seen from these two teams, do you think one of them has that explosive opportunity tonight to make big plays, or do you think this is a defensive slugfest that comes down to the fourth quarter?
Yeah, I think the latter is very true. Defensive slugfest is going to happen, and like you said, it had to do with the caliber of opponents last week. You're looking at a game where, at the end of the day, defense is going to be relied on to pull this thing out. It's going to be a slugfest. You're going to see some dirty football, guys. And, I'm just here to be transparent with you in the fact that these two teams both have to show what it takes to win a game consistently. And, I think at the end of the day, you're looking at probably a nitty-gritty battle where Sylacauga wins this and pulls it out in the end. But I do think Montevallo improves. I do think they make the strides. They're going to have to rely on Buck Ross on defense, and the offense runs around Caleb Merriweather, like you said. So I think Montevallo makes the improvements necessary, but I still think Sylacauga comes out on top in the end.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think one problem we're going to face for Montevallo tonight, I think the defense does have success early, but those guys play in both ways. They're going to be on the field a lot. I think at some point Sylacauga is going to score a few points in this one. I think that they may get a comfortable lead at one point there in the second half. We'll see if Montevallo can hang tough. I think Sylacauga is going to walk away with the win. But Montevallo, one defense is going to have to play well the entire game, and that offense is going to have to find a way to make some plays in this one. Regardless, at some point in the season, they're going to have to score some points to be able to compete for a playoff spot. So we'll see if they can start that this week. A big opportunity for them, a team that right now we think may be pretty level with Montevallo, but they're going to have to come out and show some things offensively and prove that they can score the football to be able to walk away with a win tonight. That takes us to the Shelby County Wildcats, another 1-0 start for the Wildcats this season. They hit the road tonight to take on Holtville, fresh off a 27-14 season-opening win over Lincoln last week, and offensively probably wasn't as impressive as we expected, but we knew they were replacing some key faces on that offensive side of the ball, and they did what they needed to. Defense played well, which was my key factor coming into the year for this Shelby County team. I think the offense will steadily get better throughout the season. So, Andrew, this is a matchup that we expect Shelby County to have more success in and improve to 2-0 in the season. What's going to be the key for them to do that?
I think the key is just going to have to be cleaning up a lot of the mental errors last week that led to some of the empty drives and really unleashing this offense's true potential. We've seen what the run game can achieve. And last week, the offense managed 261 yards of total offense and some really good performances from Devin Alexander, Tyson Duncan, and Noah Trenholm. It feels like this team still has another year to be able to reach, and I think that this is going to have to be one of those games where they start to show that ahead of a really tough region battle next week against Sipsey Valley.
Yeah.
I think this team is going to be able to show that against a Holtville team that's historically struggled and coming off of a poor performance as well. But I do think that this team does what it needs to take another step in the right direction. But I'd love to see some more explosive pass plays. I think we saw a couple of good flashes in that Ryan Sykes or Dominic Woods connection last week. And I think a couple more deep balls can start to diversify this offense and really start to throw some defenses off guard.
Yeah, if we see the Shelby County offense open things up in the passing game, we better check outside and make sure pigs aren't flying tonight as well. It may be the end of the world, too. So be careful out there if you see that Shelby County pass game open up. It's just a team that hadn't done it in so long, but we keep expecting it to come at some point, mainly because they do run it so much. You got to expect the passing lanes are going to be open throughout the night. So, like Andrew said, he saw a couple of times where they were able to have some big-time plays in the passing game, show some potential there in week one. So we'll see if they can build off of that and really become a balanced offense, because we know they can run the football with any of them out there. So if that passing game comes along, going to be a dangerous Shelby County football team. Tyler, what's your expectation there for the Wildcats tonight as they hit the road to take on Holtville?
Yeah, I think the offense will be fine. I think they just needed they're going to need a game or two to get under their feet, see what they got around them. Ryan Sipes, he, like we said last week, fourth-year starting quarterback, has the ability to make the plays whenever he needs to. But the key is going to be defense. And what we saw last week, I mean, Clayton Ellison and Andres McGinnis, like I pointed out, McGinnis being a key factor on both sides of the ball, they both had interceptions last week. And at the end of the day, Shelby County has what it takes. This is a Holtville team that you look at, and they lost close last week. I think it was a 15-14 game. You're looking at a team that just hasn't made the strides year over year, and County has the ability to do whatever they want in this game. So I think County wins close. I still think they're going to have to take some strides to make it to the mountaintop that they want to, but Shelby County does win this game.
Yeah, and I think defensively, you look at Holtville last week, just struggling to score the football. I think Shelby County's defense plays well again tonight. That's enough to win the football game. We'll see how much that offense grows in week two, but should see the Shelby County Wildcats sitting at 2-0 at the end of the night. Well, guys, that takes us to Briarwood Homewood, the game that Tyler is at tonight. He's going to be covering that one for us in person out there. So make sure you're following along with him on X tonight with those live updates. Before we dive into this game, I got to tell you about 3D Air Services, who's going to be sponsoring the Briarwood Lions on the Shelby County Football pregame show this year. Since 2005, 3D Air Services is proudly called Shelby County home. They're more than just your trusted HVAC company. They're your neighbors, friends, and supporters. From keeping your home comfortable year-round to sponsoring local schools and athletic programs, they are committed to making a difference in our community. Just ask your neighbor. Chances are they've been there. As proud sponsor of the Briarwood Lions, 3D Air believes in the power of teamwork, dedication, and community spirit, values they carry with them in every job they do. 3D Air Services, your trusted neighbor, keeping Shelby County comfortable one home at a time. So, guys, this is a big game. This is a big game for Briarwood. Last year we saw them struggle out of the gate, and this year they struggle in game one. 14-3 lost to Oak Mountain. That offense just looked lost. Aside from drive one of that game, where they really had their way in the run game, got a field goal on the board early to take a 3-0 lead, they just could not move the football consistently on the offensive side of the ball the rest of the night. Defense played great. The defense played well enough to win that football game. I think this is a very solid and physical defense that plays well again tonight. But, Andrew, I'll start with you before we go to Tyler, who's on location. How does this offense get going, and do they get going to be able to win a game against a really good Homewood football team? Can't hear you, Andrew. Andrew, still can't hear you, buddy. All right, let's go over to Tyler. Tyler, if you're good with your mic, let's check with you first. Right. And you're out there on location. One, what's the atmosphere like? But two, we talked about this Briarwood offense improving. How do we get a Briarwood offense that's going to be able to play with this Homewood team tonight?
You know, something I saw early on, even in the preseason, guys, was that Charles Dedman really needs to get his accuracy going. He's mobile, we know that. But on the run, he's got to be able to make the plays. And against a Homewood defense who is feisty and plays fast-paced, you could expect a lot of that tonight. I mean, you just have to make, if you're Briarwood, you have to make the simple plays when they come upon. Because if you can't do the simple things right, you're not going to be able to do the difficult things right. And I think that's what Briarwood needs to focus on. Simple football, don't go into anything too complex by the book. Make it easy on yourselves. Because, guys, let me tell you, Homewood might be the real deal at quarterback this year. And if you thought Will Myers was good last year, meet Caleb Carson, who is basically a mold of him. He's a dual threat quarterback, a star of basketball. He's got speed under his legs. He feels like a Johnny Manziel type player to me, guys. He can run, make the throws when he needs to, and he's got weapons all around him, such as Tamon Felton, Davis Griffin, and David Walt. I just think this Homewood team is too overpowering, guys. And if this Briarwood defense, gives up a couple of touchdowns early, look out, because they're going to have some work to do on offense. But like I said, if Briarwood's going to win this game, simple things, simple plays, just make it go, and you can make this respectable. But ultimately, Homewood, man, they're going to be tough to stop tonight.
All right, Andrew, let's test it out. Let's see if we got you back.
Yeah, quite frankly, this team just really needs some playmakers to break through on the offensive side. The offense really just had no spark and could not get across the finish line. Getting into the red zone a couple of times, but just turnover on downs after turnover on downs just killed this team last week. And that's going to have to change against a Homewood team that's a step up on defense from Oak Mountain. I know Tyler just talked about Homewood being a really good offensive team, and that was definitely not in doubt last week against John Carroll, 5 touchdowns for Caleb Carson. But it was a defense that really had its way against the Cavs as well, and a defense that I think is going to be another strong unit for them as well. So I definitely think that both of these defenses are going to find their ways to succeed. But it's all going to come down to which team has the offensive playmakers that step up in this ballgame to break through those defenses and really get on the board to get this team into a good position. Unfortunately, right now, I think Homewood's in a better position for that. But I do believe that Briarwood has the potential over the course of the season, particularly on the ground with Jackson Ryder and Eli Thompson, to really start achieving the stage of some of what we saw last season.
Yeah, I think that's the big key. I mean, we saw it drive one last week. They showed a lot of promise running the football, and they marched right down the field. I believe they got to the 5-yard line or within the 5-yard line before they were pushed back a little bit there. So a great opening drive, and then they just couldn't replicate it the rest of the way. And their offensive line is plenty talented enough, plenty physical enough, and plenty big enough to open some holes there. So we'll see if that running game can get going for Briarwood tonight. They're going to have that to be successful. I do think they play this game at the pace that they want to play it at, which is to slow that game down, run the ball, be physical defensively. And I say slow it down. It'll speed up the game clock and make that game go a little bit faster, but limit the scoring. And I think that's ultimately what happens. It gives Briarwood a chance, but they're going to have to score points. I don't think they'll be able to score enough tonight to be able to walk away with a win. Maybe a little closer than most people think there in that one tonight, though, because this Briarwood team isn't going to go down with a fight. And we talked about it last week. It doesn't get any easier from here the next few weeks with the schedule they have ahead there for the Briarwood Lions. Ramsey next week on a Thursday night, short week, so they need to get some confidence going in to region play. That takes us to the 6A classification. The Calera Eagles hosting Central Tuscaloosa tonight. This is a Central team for the second year in a row, enters this matchup off of a win against 7A Tuscaloosa County, and they did it last week in pretty dominant fashion, 45-13. Meanwhile, Calera enters this game off a 41-21 loss to Northridge last week. So Calera's going to have to figure out some things offensively. It was a slow start on that defensive side, though, last week, 21-0 hole that they got into that really cost them. I think this offense is going to be fine. They worked some things out as that game went along on both sides of the ball. Are they going to be able to put it together, Andrew, early in this game tonight to be able to keep this game intact for a little while?
This game, though, in the weeks to come, yes. That's really just more of a statement on the Central Tuscaloosa team than anything else, who I think is a legitimate top 10 team within Class 6A, or somebody who's at least going to be challenging for that top 10 and a deeper spot in the playoffs. This one was really, really good. Beating Tuscaloosa County 45-13. Showed a lot of flashes on the offensive side. We saw a lot of really good talent from that team last season, just ran into a difficult region. Now I think that team has the steps in order to be able to be a major player within its region. And I think, unfortunately, that's bad news for a Calera team that has a lot of things to figure out, both on the offensive side and the defensive side. But entering the season, what we really said was that this team needs to win a turnover battle, and I think that's true for both sides of the ball going into this game as well. You saw those 3 interceptions and how those really cost Calera on offense last week, and the defense just wasn't able to get much in return. In fact, giving up those few touchdowns early, those 3 touchdowns in the first 15 minutes to get into an early hole against Northridge. If this team is able to play solid defense for 48 minutes and play turnover-free, mistake-free football on offense, this team's going to start to reach its potential, which I think its potential is a playoff team. I just don't know if it's at the same level as Central, even at its peak. So I'm unfortunately going to pick the Falcons in this one, but definitely look for the Eagles to come into this one motivated, looking to get some improvements, and ready to go in the next week's matchup against Benjamin Russell.
Yeah, so Tyler, quick response from you here, and it's just one simple question. Will the defense improve enough tonight? Because that's the big question mark. That's the key for Calera's success right now. Will they improve enough tonight to be able to, win, but also make this game competitive against Central Tuscaloosa?
The simple answer here, guys, is yes, they will improve. No, it won't be enough.
Yeah.
I just feel like Central Tuscaloosa's offense is too overpowered. And you look at this game last year, they scored 47 points. They scored 45 points last week. I'm taking the Falcons pretty heavily this week, but I do think Calera takes some strides in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think Calera's offense is going to score some points in this game tonight. I think we're going to see that side of the ball play well, make this game competitive throughout, but the defense is the one that needs to make the plays to win the game. We'll see if they can do that as they host Central Tuscaloosa tonight. Before we go on, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Andrew, I'm going to get you to jump on Twitter right now, check the Thompson score for us, and come back in a second. We're going to get an update on that one as we shift into talking about the Chelsea-Wetumpka game. But thank you all for tuning in tonight. We got great viewership right now, one of the most watched shows we've ever had. So really appreciate everybody for tuning in. Make sure to hit that like button, share the show, subscribe on YouTube, follow on Twitter, wherever you may be watching. We appreciate it. Well, Tyler, that takes us to Chelsea hitting the road to take on Wetumpka tonight. Great opportunity for both of these teams. We saw what Chelsea did last week in a 51-27 win over Charles Henderson. You were at that game, so take me through what you think Chelsea can do tonight on the road at Wetumpka to be able to walk away with the win against a pretty good Wetumpka team too.
Right. I think the offense was very impressive, what we saw from that running game, the two-headed monster and Chase Malone and Morgan Barnes. But where it's really going to tell the tale tonight is the defense going to be able to keep things going and not get exposed on the outside. That's where we saw Charles Henderson come.
Oh, no, we lost Tyler. We'll get him back on in just a second. Andrew, talking about Chelsea-Wetumpka, this is a big game for both of these teams as they get head into region play. Chelsea, a big win last week. Score was great for them in the offensive side. You look at the defensive side, played well at times, gave up some big plays at times. But when you look at this game, the offenses played so well last week. Is that going to carry over? Do we have a shootout-style game here between these two? And regardless, what's the outcome at the end of the night, in your opinion here?
I think there's definitely a chance for a shootout, but I really do think that this Chelsea defense is going to have a lot of opportunities to start improving in this one, because I think they really recognize that their biggest opportunity for improvement is to improve along the edges, start getting some secondary play in there as well, to help them really start reaching their true potential, and be able to get in there and stop some big plays and start looking like the team that we saw in the first quarter or so, which is really start racking up big plays on the ground, start making some big things happen, and then prevent those things from happening on the defensive side as well. Obviously, we saw the ground game just absolutely excel. 5 different rushers scored touchdowns against Carl Henderson. Wetumpka, a massive step up, another borderline top 10 team in Class 6A, like I think Chelsea is as well. And then you also look at this pass game, which I think has a lot of potential. You saw Logan Strunk lead the team down the field in 3 plays. Hudson Picklesheimer, a massive player, physically massive player, who they're going to be looking to get into some big systems and big packages there as well. And then you look at Grant Probst as well. And I think that with them all, they've got a really good trio of quarterbacks that they're going to be able to mix into this game as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how this offense continues to develop. I do think, like you said, the defense will start to show its improvements, though. And I think that Chelsea's going to find some success because of that and because of the strength of its continued run game.
Yeah, so Tyler, let's get your closing thoughts there on Chelsea Wetumpka, as you were cut off a little bit in the middle of your statement. But ultimately, do you think Chelsea has enough on both sides of the ball consistently to go on the road and pick up a win here?
Yeah, I think last week was just opening week jitters, guys. Chelsea has the talent to be able to do this. And, ultimately they're going to go on the road, play a really good Wetumpka team, but come away with the win. I just think they needed to get under their feet a little bit, and we'll see Chelsea move to 2-0 tonight.
Yeah, I think that run game's so dangerous. 1-2 punch there, very physical. I ultimately think in the second half they're still going to be fresh at the running back position. I think that makes the difference in that game. Defense, I do think, needs to be a little bit more consistent, but that's a really good group too. I think they're going to play well throughout the year. I think this is going to be a tight one. I really do, but I think Chelsea makes enough plays in the second half with that physical rushing attack, wearing down Wetumpka's defense to be able to walk away with a win in that one. Well, that takes us to the Helena Huskies opening the season tonight after a bye week in week 1, and they take on McAdory in a big game there for the Huskies. 1 game of preparation before they jump in to region play. So a big opportunity for them tonight to get some confidence. Before we talk about Helena, we got to tell you about Oak Mountain Hearing. Their new location open now in Pelham, and a proud sponsor of the Helena Huskies on this year's Shelby County High School football show. Don't let hearing loss bench you this season. At Oak Mountain Hearing, we help you stay in the game so you don't miss a single play this season. Whether you need help with hearing aids, hearing loss, or tinnitus, Oak Mountain Hearing is here to help you. Now open in Pelham, call 205-728-1690 to set up a consultation, and don't let hearing issues affect your well-being. Hear every word effortlessly with Oak Mountain Hearing. Again, 205-728-1690 or oakmountainhearing.com. So, guys, big game here for Helena. It's a challenging opponent. This game was thrilling last year, 29-28 win for Helena in that one. McAdory opens the season this year with a big win, 57-7 win over Pleasant Grove. That was a game last year against Pleasant Grove. They won by just 3 points, 38-35 to open the season. So it looks like this may be an improved McAdory team, and it's a Helena team we expect maybe to be a little bit improved, but there's a lot of unknown there right now. So, Tyler, we'll start with you. The Helena Huskies season opener, do they have enough to get the job done in game 1 against a very good McAdory team?
I think it's going to be a little questionable, guys. Coin toss game right here. I mean, you look at McAdory, that team is on fumes right now. And, man, they are going to come out with all the energy in the world after a crushing win over Pleasant Grove last week. I think it's going to be a shootout. You're going to look at Don Santiago and Nate Ferguson to try and make the plays on offense. At the end of the day, guys, it may be a matter of who has the ball last, because it's just going to be that close. I think that battle-tested. I think Helena does have enough to get it in because Richie Busby and his guys are fired up for game one and to get the season started.
Yeah, Andrew, what about you? It's going to be a lot of fun to watch this game. Do you think the Huskies have enough in game one to get it done?
I do, and I think it's because it's not all doom and gloom for this team on defense for the Helena Huskies, particularly because I really do like their second level of guys, particularly in the linebacker room with Jonathan Roberto, DJ Williams, and then Lane Harris mixing in there as well. I think this team is going to prove to itself that the defensive line may be a little undersized. There's no question about that. But I think this team is going to start proving that can get the stops at the second level, prevent those big plays from becoming big plays. Maybe let up 4 or 5 yards in the process. But I think that this team is going to be able to get stops and prevent the big touchdowns that we saw last week from McAdory at home against Pleasant Grove. Because I believe as long as they're able to do that and slow the tempo of this offense down a little bit more, I think Helena has the firepower to match it. And I think that they're going to be able to find a way to do win in a close one, just because I really, really like that talent that Tyler mentioned on offense for the Huskies, whether that be in the pass game with Nate Ferguson, guys like Chris Brown or Lane Harris as well, or in the run game with Don Santiago and Jacoby Sotomayor.
Yeah, this is one of those games on the show earlier in the week. I was back and forth on Helena McAdory, Chelsea Wetumpka, Vincent B.B. Comer. I think all three of those games could be one-possession games that go down to the last drive there. So a big opportunity for Helena. I'll be excited to see how that one unfolds, because if the Huskies can win that one in their opener, they instantly shift up to be a strong contender in their region alongside Spain Park, Benjamin Russell, and some others there as well. So a big night for the Helena Huskies against a very good McAdory team. That brings us to here at Herdmont Park, where the Oak Mountain Eagles are going to host the Pelham Panthers in another big game. Pelham 0-1 right now, looking to get some confidence off a 22-14 loss to Pell City last week. The Oak Mountain Eagles, they entered this game 1-0, and boy, would it be big for them to get to 2-0. This is their easiest home game of the year. We know what lies ahead on their schedule in Class 7A Region 3, so a big opportunity for Oak Mountain to improve to 2-0, but Pelham wants to get back on track. They looked improved last week, 1-1, looking to get to 1-1, two very good defensive football teams entering this game. And before we talk about this matchup, got two great sponsors to tell you about, and that's going to be Wayne's Pest Control and 3D Air Services. First, we look at Wayne's Pest Control. While the Oak Mountain Eagles are playing defense against their opponent, Wayne's Pest Control is playing defense for your home. This football season, don't let mosquitoes, fleas, or ticks sideline your family's outdoor fun. Wayne's environmentally safe mosquito treatments will keep your yard clear, and our Affordable Mosquito Plus program will also eliminate fleas and ticks. Protect your family and pets today and take a bite out of the great outdoors. For quality service and peace of mind, trust Wayne's Pest Control. Call 866-WAYNES1 or visit callwaynes.com to learn more. And 3D Air Services sponsoring the Pelham Panthers since 2005. 3D Air Services is proudly called Shelby County home. They're more than your trusted HVAC company. They're your neighbors, friends, and supporters. From keeping your home comfortable year-round to sponsoring local schools and athletic programs, they are committed to making a difference in our community. As proud sponsors of the Pelham Panthers, 3D Air believes in the power of teamwork, dedication, and community spirit, values they carry with them to every job they do. 3D Air Services, your trusted neighbor, keeping Shelby County comfortable, one home at a time. So, guys, the defenses in this game should have some confidence off of last week. Pelham played well. They did enough to make that a game last week. It was an intriguing one, a 22-14 loss to Pell City. Drastic improvement from what they showed last year in that season opener against Pell City. And the Oak Mountain Eagles, their defense looked improved in week one as they pick up a 14-3 win over Briarwood. The offense was steady in that game, finally got going a little bit with Marty Myricks in the second half. So, Tyler, I'll start with you. What's the expectation here between Oak Mountain and Pelham?
I've gone back and forth on this game all week because for what feels like the first time in a while, we're seeming like these two teams are exactly dead even. And so what does it really take, guys? I think Pelham's wide receivers may be the real deal, and those offensive weapons are growing like I felt they would going into their junior year. I feel like Tristan Rutledge is going to be a big factor for Pelham. If he can move the ball, Pelham's offense is going to thrive. But ultimately, at the end of the day, is who can get past this Oak Mountain defense, because I think they're really more top confident than most people are going to say they are. And, at the end of the day, it's who can make that last big play, who can break out in the fourth quarter, because I think this is going to be very close. If Jaden Aparicio-Bailey can make the big plays on defense, or if Dylan Smith can get the ball past him on the offensive side of the ball for Pelham, we're looking at a really close game. I think it's going to be a dogfight, a very low-scoring game. At the end of the day, though, guys, and this is not my bias talking or anything from Oak Mountain, but my roots are saying Oak Mountain's going to win probably by 3. Either way, this game's going to be fun, guys, and I can't wait to see what happens at Herdmont.
Yeah, old Goom squad over there. Oak Mountain Band just took the field too, Tyler. So be proud of them as they get ready to take the field. But Andrew, your quick thoughts on this game, a big rivalry battle between these two. Pelham looking to get some confidence, Oak Mountain looking to go to 2-0 ahead of Class 7A Region 3 play.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to is how much of Oak Mountain's defensive performance last week was just defense taking a step up, and how much of it was just Briarwood not being able to get past them. Because I really do believe that a game like this against a Pelham team that isn't exactly going to blow the doors off of a bunch of people, especially once they get the region play, but it's a markedly improved offense over Briarwood, I would definitely say. A really good pass game, shown with those connections with Marcus Arnold. And I think this receiving core, like Tyler said, is very deep and very close to being what I think a lot of people thought that they would be as well. I think this Pelham team has a lot of weapons that can throw a lot of questions at Oak Mountain. That's not to say that Oak Mountain doesn't have the tools in place. It's whether they can execute on those concepts that Coach Barnett has been putting into them in practice, and making sure that they can translate that over onto the field to become a more complete, more deadly version of themselves on defense.
Yeah, I think this is a Pelham team that's going to present a little bit more balance offensively than what Briarwood did last week. So that puts Pelham automatically in this game. I think they are going to have the chance at some explosive plays to make this a fun one. But Oak Mountain, just a little bit more physical early in the season in the trenches. I think that may be what makes the difference. A very tight football game, though, here between these two football teams. We'll see if Pelham shows that progression up front on both sides of the ball. A good chance this team's going to start to improve each and every week and become a contender there for a playoff spot in a challenging region. Oak Mountain knows this is a big opportunity for them. Their schedule gets way more challenging the rest of the way, especially their home games this year. They want to give this crowd something to cheer for tonight, and I think they do just that. Well, we got a Wayne's Pest Control update for the Thompson Warriors, who are in action right now. Top 20 matchup there on the road at Grayson and Metro Atlanta. Don't forget to call Wayne's for all your pest control needs this season. 866-WAYNES1 or callwaynes.com. So Andrew's going to jump off real quick and check that out for us and come back on here in just a second. But so Andrew, what do we have? What's the score there between Thompson and Grayson?
We're about to come out of the halftime break. It is 3-3 as Grayson kicked the field goal in the second quarter to tie this thing up at 3 apiece. It's a defensive battle I think we kind of thought it was going to be. I know we obviously talked about the offenses coming into this game a lot. Obviously, quarterback Travis Burgess for Grayson now out with injury. So it's really stacking up to be a big showcase for the defenses, and particularly with Eli King getting a big interception for Thompson to close the half. So looking good for the Warriors so far. They'll have a chance to win it going into the second half. We'll see if those improvements translate over into the second half, kind of like they did against Carver last week. Probably not to the tune of 31 points.
Yeah, 15 to 14 game last year, and that one in overtime. So it took them that long to get that many points last year after a tight first 4 quarters. Same situation it sounds like tonight. So those defenses playing great football. We'll see if that Trent Seaborn passing game opens up there in the second half, gives Thompson a win. Well, we're nearing kickoff. We got about 17 minutes. National anthem's coming up in a few minutes. So let's go ahead and jump into our game of the week out there at Spain Park High School as the Jags welcome Hoover, fresh off of a win over Hoover last year. They're looking to, for the first time in school history, to win games against Hoover in consecutive seasons. So this is a big, big game for the Spain Park Jaguars. Before we jump into this matchup, got to tell you about Wayne's Pest Control, who's also sponsoring the Spain Park Jaguars this year. Don't forget, call Wayne's, 866-WAYNES1.com or call Wayne's, or 866-WAYNES1, phone number, callwaynes.com, that website. Visit them for all your pest control needs throughout the fall season. So a big Big opportunity, guys, for Spain Park tonight against a very good Hoover team. We think they're improved. Tyler, I start with you before we talk with Andrew.
Alec. We're going
we got national anthem. All right, Andrew, we'll start with you out there at Spain Park High School for this big game between Spain Park and Hoover.
It's really starting to build up here, and it really is a battle of two of the top teams, both in Class 7A and Class 6A. It's going to be a fun battle between two really good offenses and two really good defenses, and two teams that last year were in an absolute shootout against each other. The offenses were on full display, defenses made a couple of big plays, and it was for my books in the 5 years before this I covered high school football, probably the best game that I've ever covered. It was an absolute war until the end, and I certainly expect it to be that way again tonight because both of these teams have a lot of talent. They showed it last week in their respective results. Spain Park getting 318 rushing yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns from that combined with what Brock Bradley's able to do just on a weekly basis in that pass game. The Spain Park offense is legit, and it's going to hurt a lot of people, and it can really go toe-to-toe with the Hoover defense that is stacked and loaded with some of the best defenders out there. But it's really going to be a battle between, I think, the Hoover offense and the Spain Park defense. Spain Park's defense bent a little bit last week, but is still really capable of some great plays, particularly in the secondary. So I'm going to be interested to see how they stack up against an offense that includes a really good, really talented athlete in Jonah Winston. But I do really think I'm starting to get this feeling. I've been Hoover all week. I've been picking Hoover all week within my predictions and the football show, and I've been saying that to other people. I just stepped into the stadium, and I'm kind of starting to get that belief that I always do when I watch Spain Park of never counting out the gaps.
Yep. And Spain Park's I was just going to say, Spain Park's weight program is as good as any in the state. They lift weights every day. They are physical. They're not going to back down from a battle like this. So I really think that you're going to see Spain Park come out offensively. I think we're going to see what we saw last year. I think this is going to be a back-and-forth game. Offenses are going to have success. Spain Park's as balanced as they've been in a long time. I think 2 running backs are going to do well for them. I think you look at the plethora of receivers they have versus just one option now that they had last year. It's more of a balanced offense. So, Tyler, let me get your thoughts on this game between Spain Park and Hoover. Do you ultimately think Spain Park can start that winning streak, win 2 in a row in this rivalry series?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to make this brief, guys, because we're getting close to run-outs here at Lions Pride Stadium. But like you said, back-and-forth game, offense on offense. You're going to see a lot of plays from a lot of playmakers. And Brock Bradley, Nick McKissick, against Jonah Winston and Jeremiah Tabb, it's a rivalry game that is set up for the ages. But I think Hoover's feisty right now. I think they're looking to get one back. And we know those Hoover players have been trying to get back, and they've been talking some trash over the course of the last few weeks. So I love to see Spain Park make this a true game. I think it will be down at the end, but at the end of the day, I think Hoover gets one back, and Chip English gets a marquee win here early in the season for Hoover.
The big thing last year that made a difference in this game and what made a difference for Spain Park in that 10-0 regular season was the defense stepping up to make big plays when they had to. And this was the exact game they did that to start the season last year in Game 2. They picked up a big play late, then they go and score. It made a difference. They were able to get a stop late in that game, too, that ultimately sealed the win. I think that defense is going to have to step up, make a big play tonight late in this football game because I think both offenses have the firepower to keep up with one another. I think we're going to see a high-scoring game, and I think it's going to come down to that fourth quarter and who makes the big defensive play at the end of the night. Well, guys, let's load up. It's fun. It's fun time. It is. We're about 13 minutes from kickoff to closer to 12 now, so I'm going to let y'all go get settled in. Andrew, real quick, 10-second closing thought, and then Tyler, your 10-second closing thought.
It's going to be a big one. A lot of fun and entertaining games. Can't wait to see who comes out on top.
Let's go. A lot of big games, guys. I can't wait to have some fun. Keep up with us all around the night.
The center of the field is
and if you made it through this entire show without your eyeballs burning out with Tyler's jersey on there, I applaud you. Thank you for tuning in. You got about 10 minutes, 15 minutes to see if the Auburn Tigers give up a touchdown within the first 5 seconds of that game. So, Tyler, have fun trying to balance watching that football game tonight along with that big rivalry battle there between Briarwood and Homewood. Let's have some fun. It's Friday Night Lights. It's going to be a lot of fun here 11 big games. Thompson in a barn burner there, 3-3. Started the second half with Grayson in a top 20 national battle. We got 11 games tonight, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Follow along on X. Make sure you're looking at X, Facebook, website, ShelbyCountyReporter.com. After the game, we'll have video, we'll have photos, we'll have stories. It's all going to be there. So follow along throughout the night for another big action-packed night of high school football. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in, and enjoy your Football Friday night.